So why don't we now move on, guys, over to our running backs. I see we got 25 questions. I love it. Let's get over to 50 if we possibly can, and move on from there. So there's the banner. Is that? I'm trying to see how this looks real quick. Is that showing up? Yeah, week 3 running back rankings. Okay, got it. It just looked a little off. Thank you guys for your patience as I get this rolling. So number 1 at the top, always going to be Christian McCaffrey. Barely scoring touchdowns, still the number 1 running back in fantasy. He gets Houston on Thursday night. Ooh, that should be a doozy. That should be an absolute smashing. Then you got Derrick Henry, the number 1 actual fantasy. Even though I have McCaffrey, the clear number 1, Henry has most points. He scored nearly 50 fantasy points last week. 6 catches. I think that's an anomaly, but a little bit more involved than we're typically used to. That's amazing news. In Indianapolis, not a defense that's overly threatening this year as of right now. So I do like Derrick Henry at the number 2 spot. If Cook was healthy, he'd probably take that spot. He's got a minor ankle thing going on, which I think he'll be fine. Zimmer said if he's out there, it's the full workload. We're not going to put him out here and play him at half pace. So if he's out there, you get your guy on the team that just got smashed by the aforementioned Derrick Henry. Good spot for Dalvin Cook. Should have his usual burn there. Austin Ekeler, the first guy I'm significantly higher on, plus 3 ECR against the Chiefs, who've surrendered the 3rd most points to running backs. Teams can bludgeon them on the ground, but especially through the air to their receiving backs as well. That's another big thing they've been giving up. So I really like smashing Austin Ekeler, who's gotten all the de facto at the goal line carries. 1 was a 2-point conversion. 2 of them were at the stripe. He didn't convert the TDs, but he is their goal line back. We saw the 9 targets reemerge, a target hog. Guy is a beast. But Aaron Jones, maybe I might bump him back up over Austin Ekeler. San Fran, not an overly threatening matchup. They gave up a ton of points through the air, and that's where Aaron Jones is doing some insane damage this year. Week 1 was a disappointment, but week 2, this guy came out with a vengeance, and you had to love to see it. Big fan of Aaron Jones this week. Think he could easily fall the end zone at least 2 more times, whether through the air, whether on the ground. Big fan of Aaron Jones. Nick Chubb, though, the guy's got back-to-back 18 fantasy points or more. Let's look at this really quickly, how dominant he's already been to start the year. Even though he's playing just around 50% of the snaps, he's been the RB3, RB9, 21 and 16 fantasy points so far. Beast, absolute beast. There's not much else to say. Chicago, not the most amazing matchup, giving up the 28th, so pretty low in terms of points allowed. They did just stuff Mixon pretty well. I still think he has a big day within him. Jonathan Taylor, 6,700 on DraftKings is just way too low for this guy. I think he's going to come out. I know Carson Wentz might not be playing, but still, the Titans, right in the middle of the pack against running backs, but that's really just because they've been getting destroyed so much over the air. Taylor has just been so unlucky. 8 goal line carries and 0 of them going for touchdowns. I don't think that's a skill set problem. He was an absolute monster at the stripe last year. Been more involved as a receiver. I think he is one of the best buy lows in fantasy. Whereas Kamara, clearly lower on him this week against the Pats. I think they know how to take out the best weapon of a team. So they're going to do against Kamara. And last week was disappointing, and I don't see this defense being any easier than the matchup they had last week. I think Jameis Winston could be in for another, 150-yard, multiple interception, who knows how many touchdowns type day. Worried about Kamara, worried about the Saints in general right now. Chris Carson, though, not too worried. 2 touchdowns last week, low yards per carry, but Minnesota has been a solid matchup for the running backs. They've been giving up the 15th most points, so right there in the middle of the pack. I think they points galore there in that game. I think Carson's going to be a big part of that. So plus 3 ECR. Joe Mixon plus 1. One of the only 8 backs to see 80% or more carries last week. He's done it in back-to-back weeks. The clear workhorse, as is Najee Harris, one of the only other guys to do that. Now facing a Cincy Bengals team that ranks 20th, so not an amazing matchup, but still a solid spot. Zeke is pretty concerning. 18 touches compared to 16 for Pollard. Sure, he dominated the snaps. Saw a bit more receiving work than we're used to for him, but I'm nervous about him. I might even bump him a little bit lower, potentially behind Saquon Barkley, who I'd rest of season definitely have above Zeke. Gets Atlanta. I think this kind of could be Barkley's coming out party after 84% of the snaps there at running back 13, probably bumping him to 12. Montgomery not far behind at running back 14. I think he'll be benefiting from the Justin Fields takeover. We've seen how much that has helped running backs in the past. The Browns have been good against running backs, 26th. So a tougher matchup, but still could be great. Now, Swift, Baltimore, again, not a great defense. And I think after Dan Campbell comes out and says we need him more involved, love him at 15 plus 2 ECR. Gibson, a little bit worried about this workload. Let me know what you guys think of Gibson and your thoughts there. As you buy low, sell high. I don't know. Buffalo, though, pretty ferocious run D. McKissick's going to be heavily involved. If they get down early, we know McKissick will be even more involved. Don't love this narrative for Gibson. But Chase Edmonds, Jacksonville, not much else to say. Plus 5 ECR. I'm surprised I'm that much higher considering the matchup. It's Jacksonville. Third most points to running backs. Tons of points. Only 8th most points. Oh, only 8th. They're going to give up a ton of points to everybody on Arizona. They're going to be unstoppable. Dallas, not a bad matchup for Sanders. Should find more room than he saw last week. Been a top 12 running back 3 out of 5 weeks with Jalen Hurts. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, could he rebound? I mean, there's every metric is telling you this is one of the worst running backs in the NFL. I don't get it. He was so good at LSU, so efficient, especially as a receiver, and we're just not seeing it. If he's going to get it done, it could happen against the Chargers, who are giving up the 9th most points to running back, so a green light matchup for the guy. But I'd be nervous. But then you look below him, and it starts to get ugly. Tyson at 20, stuck in a committee, but looking real good. One of only like 5 backs with 95 or more yards in the first 2 weeks. Just need the end zone. Go away, Latavius Murray, and Tyson would be a top 12 guy every single week. Damian Harris, an end zone beast, a workload beast. New Orleans is one of the best run Ds in the league, though. So that gets a little bit sketchy. And Myles Gaskin, 22, 2 spots below the ECR. I'm going to bump him down even further with Jacoby Brissett now taking over. He's going to fall below, Mike Davis type of range. Very, very low on Myles Gaskin. That was ranking him hopeful that we would see Tua. Clearly, that's not going to be the case. So bumping him down pretty big in this next ranking set. And then you just look how far this drops off. Mitchell, is he good to go? What's this latest note on him? Because if so, everybody else around him's hurt. I might need to bump this guy up if he's practicing. Not practicing on Wednesday. Great. Hasty sideline, Sermon's limited. So we'll see. He should be able to practice if he gets some limited work in. Somebody's going to do some damage there. Shanahan's committed to like 28 to 30 carries a week at minimum. But that's going to be sketchy. We'll find out. James White, as you can see, plus 10 ECR. Javonte right near him against the Jets. What a tackle breaking machine. We're already seeing it with Javonte. He should have no problem steamrolling the Jets. James White and Damian Harris just did some dirty things too. And speaking of James White, I think you attack this defense through the sides, through the receiving game, and I think James White will have a big – he's seen 18.5% of the targets so far. That's only behind McCaffrey and Kamara on the year. He's got that role back from 2019 when he was the RB11. Good stuff. Kareem Hunt, we don't need to go through all these guys, but you can see Hunt at 26, Gordon 27. Davis 28 is like, is he going to get it, or is Patterson the current highest scorer on the Falcons, higher than Pitts, higher than Ridley, higher than Mike Davis? Is he the guy you want to go to? As you see, plus 19 ECR, I'm definitely buying in. I was buying in last week. Definitely believe in Patterson as the goal line hammer here, as a guy that's great in the receiving game as well. But then you see, Murray, the touchdown guy against Detroit, should have himself at least 1 touchdown there. Pollard looking better than Zeke. I wonder if that role of 16 touches, should that continue, he's going to start having to be a weekly top 20 guy. As you can see, J.D. McKissick also heavily involved. This is the type of script that he should be even more involved than usual. So just some guys in that range. Robinson saw 14 of 16 carries, but it's gross, and they're going to be down. I don't know that they keep him involved. Kenyon Drake as well. Even if Jacobs is out, do I really care here? And then you're looking at like Connor maybe for a goal line touch, but a little bit lower, as you can see, on Fournette, Singletary. I think they're going to need to throw Fournette at least, and Singletary with Moss back committee. Henderson will be interesting. Let's see what this nugget says on him. Is he practicing? Still in play for week 3. So we'll get an update on Friday, but the team's optimistic he'll play. So obviously due for a big bump. If Henderson's playing, he'll rank up with this tier, like right around, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, probably at 18, should Henderson be out there and active. So yeah, that's really all you're looking at. Let me know if you have any specific running back questions in terms of Hail Marys. Like there's nobody I'm loving right now on this list. I've seen Sony Michel in a lot of waivers. So if, Hendy's out, we could see a big game. We did mention too how pass happy McVay's been whenever he's faced the Bucs. think that will continue. So maybe I don't bump Hendy up too much. Michael Carter, though, another guy that's, they said we couldn't stop feeding him because he was looking so damn good. And he was. So that's another one to look at. What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.